Welcome to the March the 13th, 2001 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie. As we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that have made history, and they're continuing to make history till this very day. We are very excited today to have a very special lady that we're saluting, along with a person that she decided that she just needed in her interview. This is our history tape number 421. And we're delighted indeed to have a very special lady from South Grand Prairie High School, Media Director of the World, Billy Donegan. Welcome to the set.
Thank you, Ruthie. Thanks so much.
We're just so glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
For a very special salute to a very special lady.
I'll tell you what, it means a lot to me to be here. Thank you.
Yes. And it took a long time to talk you into coming on the hot seat. That's just one of the, the hazards of being famous as you are. And we're just so delighted that you brought Robert with you.
Thank you.
Robert Lonergan. We are very pleased, young man, to have you with us.
Great to be here.
And following in her footsteps, whenever she decides to leave South Grand Prairie High School and the media world of the center of the things that happen for us, we're just really glad to have you with us, and we're looking forward to you going to Dallas County Commissioner's Court with us, because that's a real wonderful thing. But now, Miss Billy.
Yes, ma'am.
Could we have your attention, and you sort of look out into your camera that you have as a captive today. Tell us a little bit about the real Billy Donegan, where you were born. We're not going to ask you the magic date, but where you were born and your parents' name, and if you had siblings, just name them very quickly for us.
Sure, and I don't mind doing that at all. I don't even mind telling you my age, because I sort of feel like a missionary. I'm here to tell other people that are 50 years old, 54, that you can start life over again.
Yes, you can.
So
no black balloon.
No, I'm about to go start a brand new life after having lived one complete one here in Grand Prairie as a teacher. So it's very, very exciting. I have one surviving parent. His name is Gil Taylor, and he's very close to me. I've just spent a couple of weeks with him because he's not doing very well right now, so you all can put him in your prayers. His name is Colonel Gil Taylor. He's 80 years old,
yes.
89 years old, getting ready to be 90, and he lives in San Diego.
San Diego.
I have one sister who is just a fireball, a younger sister and two nieces, and they live in Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma, Washington. And when you were a young lady and going into school, where did you go to school first, young lady?
Well, my very first, after I graduated from high school, and I graduated from high school in Germany.
I mean, where did you begin elementary, and did you have a special teacher or two that really sent you sailing in the education?
Well, I don't think, I guess one of the drawbacks of being 54 is I'm not sure I can remember everywhere, because I'm a service brat. My dad was a colonel was in the Air Force, and so we moved probably every 2 to 3 years.
And your favorite then of all of your elementary teachers would have to be?
Probably my favorite elementary teacher would be Miss Anderson.
Yes.
That would have been the 4th grade.
Yes.
And I definitely do remember her. And I think teachers do inspire you to decide what you want to be. At that time, I wanted to be an archaeologist. That must have been the dinosaur period.
Yes, it was.
But it was a detective. You know, I kept through with that. I will say that as I went on through high school, I had a couple of influential high school teachers, and one of which was my journalism teacher.
All right.
And I will tell you this, because I think it is kind of worth sharing as we talk about large schools and small schools. I was editor of my high school paper and on student council and a cheerleader and in the play, and did a lot of things. There were 60
what famous high
seniors.
schools?
There were 60 seniors in my high school. So if you go to a small high school, you get to do everything and be everything. Gives you a lot of confidence.
Yes.
So.
And that was what high school?
Würzburg, W-U-R-Z-B-U-R-G, Würzburg, Germany.
Germany. And graduating there, what happened to Billy then?
I think the first thing I did was get on the wrong plane, go into the United States. That's a story that a lot of people tell on me, because I thought I was headed to New York, and I was actually in the air when I found out my plane was going to land in Charleston, South Carolina.
All right.
So that was my first adventure. I did wind up going to University of California in Berkeley. just long enough to take a couple classes,
Yes.
and then quickly moved to Colorado and took some classes at University of Colorado, wound up getting my bachelor's degree and my master's degree from Colorado State University in Fort Collins, which, by the way, has been named one of the top 10 cities to live in America.
Oh, and
So
here
I saw that on Arts and
here you
Entertainment
are
this week.
thinking of going back in that direction, go west, young lady, and going back to Colorado.
Well, when you're in the service,
Yeah.
there are some things that you can do to pick assignments. And my sister, who is absolutely awesome, is blind and has been blind since birth, and she's
Yes.
very active in National Federation for the Blind.
Yes.
And Colorado has an awesome school for the blind.
Oh, yes.
And because of that, every other assignment we went back to Colorado. So I feel like Colorado is my home, even though I was born in California and have lived in Turkey and Italy and
Wherever.
lots of other different kinds of states. I feel like Colorado's still my home, even though I've been away from there for 28 years.
All right. What took you from Colorado, and why did you come south, and especially to Texas?
Marriage.
Marriage.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yes. I married a man, and I'm not married to him any longer.
That's all right.
But did learn a lot from him. He worked with abuse and neglect cases, and he worked for a really neat school for troubled teenagers.
Oh.
And so he had an opportunity to direct that program in Dallas, and so I moved down here with him, substituted, and got my first teaching job from Mr. Witt. You
From
remember
Mr. Irwin Witt, for whom our new school is named.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And got my first teaching job here in Grand Prairie. And my first job here was teaching speech.
Teaching speech. In what school?
South Grand Prairie.
At
my
South
very
Grand-
first teaching job here in Grand Prairie.
Was it South? Have
South
you been
Grand
at
Prairie.
South the entire time, or did you get transferred
I came,
around?
no, I've been at South for 28 years.
That is awesome.
So it no longer surprises me when they come in and say, "You taught my dad."
All right, yes.
I've taught a lot of the parents of
Oh.
the kids that I'm teaching now.
Now, coming to Grand Prairie from Colorado and into the teaching field, and especially at South Grand Prairie High, do you remember the principal that was there at that time?
Gene Head.
Gene Head was it?
Yes.
Oh, yes. And
Yes.
he was awesome also.
Oh, he was.
Oh.
I've had the fortune, because you talk to people in the teaching profession, that sometimes encounter bad principals.
Yes.
We've had a number of principals at South, and we've had a number of wonderful principals at
have.
South Grand Prairie, and so it's really been neat to become, to get to know the principals that are there.
Now, starting with speech and that evolution of your career along the ways, tell me what happened after speech.
Well, I started out, and I guess I'll go back to college because it kind of shows you how people wind up in different careers.
Yes.
I wanted to be a spy.
Oh, yes.
I did. So I majored in German and minored in journalism. That was going to be my cover.
Yes.
Was that I was an investigative journalist.
Yes.
But I had to help pay for school, so I began work as a DJ at a radio station.
All right.
And
Name
so
it.
I learned a lot, KCOL in
All right.
Fort Collins.
All right.
And that KCOL also owned a television station, so I worked my way up into working in the news department of the television station.
All right.
And so I had an interest in radio and television, just as a job that helped get me through college. So we were at a point in, how educational fads come and go, teaching mini courses. So there was a point in about, I think, 1976, where you didn't take like senior English. You would take, 12 weeks of creative writing and 12 weeks of, poetry of
Yes.
foreign countries and, lots of little high interest classes. And they asked me if, I could think of any related that I might want to teach. And so I offered a course in radio and a course in TV.
Yes.
And I had so many kids sign up for those too that Mr. Head came to me and said, well, you have to decide, do you want to teach speech next year or do you want to teach radio and TV full time?
Yes.
So we started out teaching radio and TV, and we had a radio station, and it was really fun.
Yes. And in the meantime, you had this media class that was going, and we had a need here at the studio.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right. Very quickly,
Yes.
we took advantage of what was then Storer Cable,
Hands-on.
Yes, hands-on. So we brought kids up here because we didn't have although we had a radio station at South, we didn't have a television station.
You did not have your studio.
No, we did not. So we brought kids up here and worked with cable.
And who was your first person to work with here at the studio? Was it Rob Willman or before Rob?
No, at the time Robert was one of my students. So I honestly don't remember the name of the people that were in the production
I'm going to
research that for us, because when we finally came up here to do that, we would do shows on cable. So our very first show was called The Cable Connection.
Yes.
And we aired that much like you air It's Happening in Grand Prairie.
Yes.
And students wrote it, produced it, starred in it, shot it, and the production crew here at Cable, just like Lewis Helps You,
yes,
helped us
get
that on the air. That's right.
And you've had the ones like the Doug and Donnie show.
We've had a lot. Robert Willman did a sports show. We've had a number of sports shows. We've had some comedy shows. We've had 2 different children's shows. We did the Sparkle Quiz Show, and we did a show called The Next Generation.
Yes.
We've done shows with some of the former superintendents. We did a show called Report Card.
And all of these were done by the students.
These are all student produced.
Produced.
One of the secrets I've hidden for 28 years is that nobody teaches TV. You just let kids loose with TV equipment and they teach themselves.
Yes, but it's just wonderful. And during all of this time that you were doing the media, you have also had other assignments that I know of, that you've been in competition in other ways with students.
I've always had a lot of other things that I've done, but really and truly about 6 years ago, I sort of left TV to take on some other projects. My first project I took, and although I still have, I've never, over the past 6 years, been willing to completely let go of TV. About 6 years ago, no, actually, I guess it's been 8 years ago.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, that's right. I switched to academic decathlon, and I coached the academic decathlon team for 5 years. And then I was on South Grand Prairie's Academy Vision team. So I helped develop the Keystone and Capstone courses for our academies, and worked with the setup of South's academies. So those 2 things took up probably most of my time. Luckily, at that point, we had some really talented people that took on the role of really running the programs. And so I've had some younger, brighter, thinner people that have run the program for about 8 years.
All right, now, before I get to Robert and ask him his assessment of Billy Donegan on the scene at South in the media and these other classes, I need some success stories now. Who are the most famous people that you've had under your wing at South Media?
Well, and I don't know that we're and I mean, we can say famous, but I'm also going to say true success stories. And I guess I want to say my best success stories first, because to me, my most important success stories, as I know of right offhand, 4 high school television teachers that I taught in high school. And
that is wonderful.
So I'm very, very excited about that there's, that I have former students that are now running television programs of their own.
All right, you want to name them?
Jerry Cantu, Kathy Martin. Oh shoot, now I'm going to have to think. Dawn Bridges.
All right.
And I can't think of my last one in Florida. You caught me off guard here.
That's all right.
But I have a teacher in Florida. His first name is Daniel, and Lewis might be able to help me remember his last name.
That's all right. But we have a Daniel in Florida that was one of your 4. All right. Now, with 4 teachers, and how about those that have gone off and made themselves famous in the media?
Yeah, and I mean, and actually, you can watch right now Melissa Templin on Channel 8. She works on the Channel 8 News, and we have a lot of former students that are on, in different markets around the United States doing news or doing sports. I know Robert was doing sports in Tyler, and Steve Strain was doing sports in Abilene, and so we've had some people like that. Probably the people that you might have seen when they've come back, Clint Young is
Yes.
working for George Lucas
Yes.
and for Lucasfilms, and he's an awesome animator out in California. Ken Gay, who graduated from here, owns Dove Communications in Nashville, and
Yes.
so if you watched the Billboard Awards, you saw his production of the Dixie Chicks doing Sin
Yes.
Wagon.
Yes.
So we've seen him. Michael Herring works for Paramount Productions for Paramount Studios out in Hollywood. He graduated from UCLA.
Yes.
So we've had a number of
John Doty.
high school graduates that are out on the coast. Here in town, we have a lot of people that are doing independent productions and actually own their own production companies. John Doty owns Southwest Graphics.
Yes.
Out right here in Arlington, and Lewis was telling me about Brad Craig, who's
Yes.
doing a show here, and Vernon works over at the Arlington Cable, and of
Yeah.
course our own Louis Tovar, who I taught in high school, who produces your program every week.
Who received the very first
Yes.
media scholarship from It's Happening in Grand Prairie.
That's right.
That we dedicated to you many long years ago.
I'll tell you what, the Ruthie Jackson Scholarship has helped a lot of South Media students, and it's
We're
kind of been fun.
just so-
That would be a great history project, is to see what all those scholarship winners are doing right now.
Yes, wouldn't that be something
fun.
to investigate?
That'd be fun.
That would be wonderful. Now, of all of the things that you have taught during your high school career,
Mm-hmm.
what was the favorite? The speech, the media, the academic decathlon, which was awesome. You took the kids to state.
5 years in a row.
Yes,
Very
all of
excited.
that, and also the vision for the academy that you have at South. What has to be your claim to fame?
I don't think I have a claim to fame. I think students have a claim to fame. Like I said, the secret
they
that I
had
try
to
to
have a
hide.
leader.
No, I think there's a key, and you may have heard this. You and I may be the only people in the room that remember Snake LeGrand, who coached at UTA. But I know he used to say, you find the right. Who was a famous basketball coach here in the area, and he used to say, the secret to good coaching is finding the right 5 players and getting them to the court on time.
Yes.
That really, I feel, has been the only contribution I've made to the program, is that sometimes I pick out good kids and give them freedom. Kids really, teach themselves and make things themselves, and that's been awesome to watch. I'm not trying to weasel out of answering what's been my favorite. I know myself well enough to know my favorite is whatever my current project is. So like today, it's my speech class.
Yes.
Because
That
I
has
just
to be
got
it.
out of 3rd period speech, and they were really working hard and doing a great job. So, and I'm back to teaching a speech class on 3rd period. So it's whatever
You
thing
made
I'm
the
working
complete
on.
round.
I made the complete round, and early this morning I was talking to a group of teachers from Arkansas about Keystone and about how much I have enjoyed late in my career teaching regular freshmen, and I'd never done that before, and so I enjoyed that. But of course, I guess with TV, what's been fun and exciting is when someone comes back and says, this is what I'm doing, aren't you proud of me? And I'm so proud of them, and it really means a lot to when a student contacts you. And I'm lucky enough that, every year
Several
2 or
have.
3 kids come out of and I say kids, and now they're grown and they have children of their own, but will come out of the woodwork and go, do you remember me? And
All right, Robert.
it's very touching.
What's it like working with a dynamo like this and following in her footsteps? And
Not setting a good example for
yes,
him this year.
yes, very good.
It's been great. I didn't start as a teacher. I got a bachelor's in radio, TV, film from University of Texas at Austin, and worked on a couple movies, and then worked for a local video company for about 6 years.
Yes.
And one of the people I worked with at this company was Jerry Cantu.
Oh, yes.
And he left that company to come and teach
Yes.
with Billy.
With Billy.
And I started to, when I changed jobs, I had some time off, and I started to substitute teach in their programs and around Grand Prairie, and then a job came open, and I jumped at the chance.
You couldn't turn it down.
Oh, no way.
What kind of an inspiration has she been to the students? Now, you're my testimonial person.
She's been great. I mean, in fact, we're about to embark on a little review session for the next few weeks of what she's been doing for the last 25 years that we can incorporate into the program now and keep it going with the quality that it's been. But she's been an awesome example.
Yes. What do you think her students think of her? I wanted to bring a bunch of kids on and let them testify, but she barely got here herself. She wouldn't let me have that freedom.
The students are doing great. The nice thing is there's constant change in the technology and in industry, and she's kept up with everything. For instance, last year, Billy started internships for our media students,
Great.
as well as a brand new class for freshmen in digital graphic animation, which has turned out to be phenomenal. Especially because
I'm good at starting on it. I haven't been as good at follow through.
she was nice enough to actually give me the digital animation kids, and I've been doing that, and the program's been fantastic.
And you're loving that.
I do. It's excellent. I mean, I'm learning as much as they are.
We have a new award at the Dallas County level that we call the Silver Doorknob. The Silver Doorknob are the people that actually open the doors for others. And we think that you'd be a wonderful candidate because you've opened the doors for so many people in so many arenas. So you're the first person that's been on my television show that I've ever used that term, the Silver Doorknob. When you've been there 50 years, we may give you a golden doorknob because you've opened doors for people for 50 years or more. But I'd like for you to comment. We have a few minutes left. I want you to talk about that new studio. How did you hornswoggle the school board and everyone into letting you have the big bucks and getting a wonderful studio for the students to use there on site?
Well, the school district has been very, very supportive, and I think it's because in the past we were very, very active out in the community, and I know that that's a direction that Robert's going to take again in terms of moving out there. You know, again, in all honesty, as I moved into other areas, we became a little less, proactive in some of the community things that we did, but we're definitely moving in that direction again. The school board was wonderful. It is a district production facility,
yes.
So anyone can come and sign up for it and use it that's in the school district, and we have elementary schools and middle schools that take advantage of that. And
that's wonderful.
We have kids in there doing that. Again, in all honesty, in the way the actual video production is moving, we do a lot more on location and remote things that come back and we edit in post rather than actually setting up and using in the studio.
Isn't that wonderful?
The direction that we need to move and have begun to move is the way the video industry is moving, which is to digital.
Yes.
We made the first step last year by getting a digital nonlinear editor.
Yeah.
The district supported us, Sam Buckmeyer's office, by providing us with our first digital camera. And as we move into adding some digital decks and some other things, then that's really where the future and the jobs will lie in video. And that's part of our mission, is to give kids experiences that they'll actually get in jobs that exist out there. As you can imagine, the field has changed a lot since I first started doing this,
yes.
And since Robert Willman was my first outstanding television student.
Yes, and Robert's going to have an opportunity to carry through with some of the things that you're just
Yes.
envisioning now.
Yeah.
Robert, what do you think about losing a lady like this? Are you going to be able to hold up that end of the deal and come on with
visit me in
Digital
Colorado.
Strong?
It's exceedingly frightening because the great thing for me is that we're going to have an opportunity to go through all her materials and talk about the structure of the class, because I want to make sure that before she departs,
Before she
I
leaves.
get everything I possibly can
Yes.
to keep the course and all the courses as good as they've been. I want to make sure that the students who come out of there are successful the way that she's had so many success stories. And it's awesome to have the students she's had come back. We've had numerous students come back and talk to our current students, and it's been fantastic.
He needs you to micromanage and line item stuff, and don't leave him with all that good stuff.
No, like I said, the Jerry Cantu and Melanie and Ken,
Yes,
some of
enough
the people that
backup,
came.
didn't he?
I was going to say some of the other people that came and the young teachers have really spearheaded the program and have a lot to offer. I kind of just watch and nod up and go, wow, you guys are awesome. So it's kind of hard at this point in my life to keep up with the technology, but it's been fun to watch.
Leaving the warrior land
Yeah.
and going to Colorado land, what you going to do with your life then?
It's going to be hard.
You have about 3 minutes to tell me that.
Okay, well, my first and top priority is to bug both my children for grandchildren.
All right.
So I'm real excited
Name your
about
two children.
Andrea, who is married to Chuck Roman, Andrea and Chuck Roman, and Nick and Angelica Donegan. And Andy and Chuck live in Colorado, and so I'll be about 5 minutes from them.
Oh, my.
And I'll be looking out on Pikes Peak, so I'm excited about that. And I also work for a wonderful woman out of Silver Springs, Maryland, part-time, and I hope to continue to work for her to take to other high schools the Freshman Success Program that we have at South, the Keystone Program.
The Keystone Program.
So I'll be doing some of that, and then probably substitute teaching or maybe looking for a teaching job. I work for Dallas County Community Colleges at night, and so I've applied at Pikes Peak Community College in Colorado Springs. So I'm just a permanent teacher. I'll be a teacher for the rest of my life and just waiting to teach my grandkids something.
I'd like for you to look out into your camera and say a fond farewell.
You're going to try to make me cry.
No, I want you to thank people and be happy about it.
I'm very, very happy. I feel blessed to have worked in Grand Prairie for 28 years. I feel that the students that have come in and out of my life are the best blessing. I always give a pitch as we do in the Career Center about trying to talk kids into being teachers. And one of the things I always say is that 44% of teachers are going to graduate by 2004 because they're all my age. So teaching salaries are going to shoot way up. And teaching is the best job anyone in the world can have. So thanks to Grand Prairie, thanks to South, thanks to all the principals I've had, and most of all, thanks to you.
And do you have a favorite principal at South Grand Prairie, having been from Mr. Head all the way to Daniel Garcia?
Roy Garcia.
Garcia.
And I have loved every single principal we have had. I really have. We've had wonderful principals. I haven't known some of them as well as I know others. And, you know, Mr. Garcia, although I always tease him and say I own clothes that are older than him, is doing a exciting job. And
Isn't he, though?
He's very exciting to work for, and he's such a thoughtful man and such a caring man that as Grand Prairie does Character Counts, I can't think of a better leader to have in terms of that.
Well, now, he always writes a little wonderful, glowing report at the bottom of the Girls of the Month and the Boys of the Month. I would like very much to see the little glowing report that he writes about Billy Donegan and her service to South Grand Prairie High.
One of his attributes is that he gives everyone, you know,
a big
lots
kudo.
of positive support, and that's why we work so hard for him.
Yes, it is. Well, I want to thank you for coming and being with us today.
Thank you, Ruthie.
You made an extra special effort, I know, to do this. You don't like to be...
It embarrasses me. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So thank
and
you.
Robert, thanks for coming along
Thank
with
you.
her and being
Thanks
my
for having me.
testimonial to let people know just how much that she is thought of. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.